After a century of darkness, a new age was finally on the horizon, and some new countries were established, like the Kingdom of Calvar to the west, and the province of Frostbill near the border, as well as the Vermillion Empire. All of this was thanks to the Septime Church, which became the dominant religion in all Zemuria. No one could ignore its power anymore, and thus a new order was being established, with them at the center. Now the Septime Church was spread all over the continent, and pictures of Adios, along with their ritual item, assumed form. They began the construction of church in each village and also one new cathedral in the city of Ordis in the Vermillion Empire. Not even if the presence of the Septime Church was now everywhere, they could not prevent what was about to happen in the years to come. During that time, in the Vermillion Empire, Lianne Sandlot started hearing a voice whispering to her about her fate and a mission she had to fulfill. Before long, Rosella Menstein, elder of the Exxon clan, appeared before her and guided her to the sealing ground of Florendring Castle. With her help, she was able to overcome the Dreichels and became the awakener of the Divine Knight, the Silver Knight, Argria. Feeling that power was too great, she decided though to seal it away in the basement ground of her castle. She later became the commander of a band of knights known as the Ashen Rider. Their charismatic personality and peerless skill with the lance and earned her the leadership of the Ashen Rider and the moniker Lance Maiden. She then took the Shion Arcade as her second in command, a great sword knight wielding the Arcade family heirloom, Gallant Charles. Some year later, in the Empire capital, one of the Emperor's sons, Prince Dreichels, who had a commoner mother, was shunned by the highborn princess. Because of this, and also because he had no claim to the throne, Dreichels renounces all his royal obligation to defect into the North Island, and left his royal affair to his closest confidant, Roland Vander. During his travel, he visited his dying mother, who left him a mourning. The blood flowing to you will not allow you to turn your back on the Empire. Suffering. Dreichels didn't really care though, and still went to the North Island. Upon his arrival, he was quickly accepted by the people there, and lived peacefully among them for upward of 3 years. Meanwhile, the current Emperor, Valius V, died, and Prince Manfred became the next Emperor. Unfortunately, his reign was soon over, as he was assassinated. The fourth Prince Artros then seized the capital by military coup d'etat. Once in control, he declared himself the new emperor and began purging all those who dared to oppose him. This led to a large-scale civil war between multiple factions, in which all 5 other princes, aside Dreichels, declared themselves to be the 73th Emperor of Vermillion. What I didn't know though is that Artros discovered and revived the Divine Knight Testarossa, which had once been sealed away due to his corruption after the fight long ago against the Dark Dragon, Zoro Agruga. Thanks to this power, Artros defeated his greatest competition, the 5th Prince. Of course, the armies of the remaining brothers were about to share the same fate. But the war took yet another surprising turn. The sixth and youngest of the fielding brothers, Lucius, discovered another divine knight, the Palatinate Knight, and asked one of his mercenaries to pilot it. Thanks to this new weapon, Lucius was able to defeat the army of Prince Albert around the war midpoint. As a result of his victory, and having the control of Zector, the Palatinate Knight, Lucius was now able to challenge Emperor Otros. Due to this defeat, Albert formed an alliance with the fifth prince Gernau, which his army was defeated too by the Testarossa. They then reinforced the army by the accumulation of magic knights. Their force was said to be now so large that it compensated even if for their lack of divine knight. Seeing that the War of the Lion has worsened, and that Erebonia was on the way of the rooms, Dreichels' childhood friend and confidant, Vander, visited Dreichels in the north to tell him what happened. Dreichels' mother's words sprung to his mind, and he decided he could no longer ignore the suffering of his homeland. The next morning, Dreichels departed to an island village with 70 Northmen in tow who volunteered to accompany him and Roland, being the two alone would not stand a chance. Thus, the third prince Dreichels raised honor, officially entered the war. Just half a year later, Roland is unfortunately killed in battle, shielding his lord. Soon thereafter, during a prolonged conflict in Legram, Erebonia in S-950, Dreichels will reunite with the daughter of Count Sandlot, Lianne, leading the ancient rider into battle. The battle ended with Dreichels and Lianne recognizing each other as reliable and trustworthy, thus pledging to fight under a united banner. Despite the differences in upbringing, Dreichels and Lianne share a concern for the innocent victim of the war, and join force in order to bring an end to the bloodshed. With the ancient rider in tow to bolster Dreichels' ranks of 17, the competent strength swept through various regions of the empire, liberating one town after another. Together with the warrior of the north and other volunteers, they are inspired to their cause. Dreichels and Lianne successfully persuaded his youngest half-brother, Lucius, to join with the alliance, bringing in Zector and his pilot mercenary band. Lucius' victory over Albert in the Battle of Olbia 1 year prior is cited to have the reason of earning Dreichels' support. Over time, Albert and Gernau gained control over more magic knights, and from then on, the alliance proved a fruitful one. The other emperor, including Lucius, now allied with Dreichels, were held off until the war's final days. Meanwhile, the ancient witch Rosalia appeared before Dreichels and guided him through a trial near Trista to become the awakener of Valimar, the Ashen Divine Knight. Dreichels succeeded, and with his force, Lianne and Lucius, the warriors won on her island, the Eisen Rider, Chion Arsaid, and the remnant of the Lucius army, most notably his mercenary pilot of Zector, the Palatinate Knight. All of them marched on the capital. Otros felt pressured by the combatant force, but still didn't give up, and aimed to elevate the cursed Vermillion Knight to even greater power. This created the Vermillion Apocalypse, transforming the Imperial Palace into the Infernal Castle, and gave him unimaginable power. It was now became a demonic god. The corrupted prince then annihilated the approaching allied force of Albert and Gunnar in one single battle. Neither the Magian Knight of Albert and Gunnar, nor even the Palatine Knight under order of Lucius could contend with such a foe, and were fell. This also resulted countless Crimson Spirit Vein to spread out for the Inferno Castle, stealing life force from the capital citizen, as well as those in the surrounding area. Only the army of Dreichels was now still standing against Orthros. Still, 4 days later, him and Lianne were about to infiltrate the Infernal Castle, and after an intense battle, overpowered the demonic god Orthros, and thus ending the wars of the Lion for good. Their victory came at a steep price though, because to shield Dreichels from the Vermillion Apocalypse attack, Lianne was mortally wounded and died soon after the battle. With her death, the line of Count Sandlot came to an end. 3 days after its appeared, the Infernal Castle vanished, signaling Dreichels' victory and the end of the war in the year of S. 952. Dreichels then became the 73rd Emperor of Erebonia, and then later sealed Valimar to the place he had originally found him. Dreichels then devoted himself to rebuilding post-war Erebonia with his royal servant, but missed being away from his Nordic friend and the witch. He married Evelyn, a lord daughter, who bore him 2 sons and 2 daughters. In addition to raising his 4 children, he raised Roland van der orphaned son as his 3rd son. The van der thrived primarily as guardian and martial art instructor, while also holding high-ranking position. To prevent another conflict like this, that involved the fragment of a great power, Rosalia used a magic to wipe out the general populace's memory of knowledge regarding everything about the Divine Knight and the Infernal Castle. She then sealed the Cursed Knight under the Imperial Palace again, and retrieved Lianne's body to brought it to the home of the Extant clan. After half a year of no decomposition, Lianne suddenly revived as an immortal, as witnesses by Rosalia and Chion Arcade, her second in command. Rather than returning to her duty, Lianne decided to leave Erin and wander Zemuria. She left Chion Arcade in charge of Legram due to his courage and bravery in the war, raising him to the rank of Viscount. The House Arcade began referring to themselves as S. Arcade from that point forward in her honor. However, throughout his time as Emperor, there was a burden Dreichels carried. He spoke to no one. The curse-ridden Dreichels was followed around by Ishmelga in its thought form, constantly becoming Dreichels that it would be more befitting as its awakener instead of Valimar. Dreichels found Ishmelga repulsive compared to Valimar and decided to endure its torment, only to be reminded that Ishmelga would return if his soul were to transmigrate. The curse hid itself when Dreichels received a surprise visit from Lianne Sandlot in S. 994. We had not aged since Dreichels last saw her. Dreichels had heard a rumor about her revival, and realized it was true. She immediately asked about the darkness that possessed him. It is unknown when exactly Dreichels passed away after that.